Let me tell you something that might shake your soul a little. You are living beneath your potential. Not because you're lazy, not because you're not smart, but because you've allowed comfort to become your cage and convenience to become your calling. And today, that stops. Comfort is a silent killer. It creeps in quietly, disguised as peace, as rest, as reward. At first, it feels good, warm, familiar, safe. It whispers to you that you've done enough, that it's okay to pause, that you deserve to coast. And while rest has its place, comfort unchecked becomes the very thing that holds you back from your greatness. It doesn't announce its arrival. It just slowly replaces your hunger with hesitation, your drive with doubt, and your ambition with apathy. You start to take longer to begin your day. You push tasks to tomorrow that you know should be done today. You settle for good enough when something inside you knows you were built for excellence. Comfort tricks you. It convinces you that you're okay with average, that you can live without more, that maybe your dream was too big to begin with. But the truth is, it's not your dream that was too big, it's your discipline that's too small. You can't reach a high place with a low level of commitment. People don't fail because they lack talent, they fail because they stop pushing when it gets hard. And most of the time, that failure is wrapped in the lie of comfort. I'm not ready. It's not the right time. I'll start tomorrow. Those are not reasons. Those are comfort's excuses, carefully dressed up to sound like wisdom. Every time you choose ease over effort, you build another wall around your potential. You shrink your capacity to handle pressure. You train yourself to retreat instead of rise. And eventually, you forget what it feels like to fight for your future. You lose the fire that once burned inside you. Discipline, on the other hand, is not flashy. It doesn't give you the same instant gratification that comfort does, but it gives you something far more powerful: progress. It may feel boring, it may feel hard, but discipline delivers what comfort promises and never fulfills: growth, strength, and real peace. Discipline shows up when the motivation fades. It steps in when your feelings fail. Discipline doesn't care how tired you are. It doesn't ask how you feel. It simply demands that you show up and do the work, because discipline knows the work works, whether you feel like it or not. While comfort looks like love, discipline is love, real love, the kind that holds you to a higher standard, that forces you to rise, that stretches you even when it hurts. Discipline doesn't let you quit on yourself. It reminds you of who you are and who you were created to be. Comfort keeps you stuck in the past. Discipline launches you into your future. One keeps you where it's safe, the other takes you where it's sacred. And the most dangerous thing about comfort is that it's addictive. Once you settle into it, breaking out feels like punishment, even when it's freedom. The real enemy of purpose isn't pain, it's pleasure with no purpose. It's the kind of pleasure that numbs your potential, that makes you okay with repeating the same day over and over again, calling it a life. But deep down, you know that life was never meant to be a loop. You were meant to level up. People admire the results of the discipline, but they rarely see the pain behind it. The missed parties, the late nights, the early mornings, the silent sacrifices, the invisible battles. Discipline is forged in the dark, long before it ever shines in the light. And discipline is not a gift, it's a choice. It's not given, it's grown. And the good news is, you don't have to feel ready to be disciplined. You just have to start. You don't need to have it all together. You just need to take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. Discipline is built by doing, not by dreaming. Comfort makes you a prisoner to your emotions. Discipline makes you a master of your destiny. Comfort listens to how you feel. Discipline listens to what you said you were going to do. And every time you keep your word to yourself, you build integrity, confidence, and momentum. We all have two voices inside of us. One says rest, the other says rise. One says later, the other says now. And whichever voice you listen to becomes your future. Discipline helps you choose the voice that leads to elevation, not elimination. You were not created to coast. You were created to climb. Comfort will always try to convince you to settle at the bottom of the mountain. But discipline is what makes you put one foot in front of the other, even when the top is still out of sight. And let me be clear, discipline is not punishment. It's preparation. It's the training ground for your breakthrough. It's the path to power. Every time you choose it, you sharpen your skills, strengthen your spirit, and stretch your capacity. The person who is disciplined wins, not because they never struggle, but because they never stop. They show up when it's hard. They stay when it's tempting to quit. They push when everyone else pauses. That's how greatness is made. Not in the moments of glory, but in the grind nobody sees. Comfort says you've done enough. Discipline says you're just getting started. Comfort wants you to believe success is for others. Discipline dares you to believe it's yours. And while comfort will always be the easy choice, it will never be the right one if you're chasing something extraordinary. Excellence is not an event. It's not something you stumble into by chance or luck. It's not a moment of genius that comes out of nowhere. Excellence is crafted day by day, decision by decision, action by action. It's forged in the daily grind, in the repetition, in the consistency that most people overlook. The truth is, you don't wake up excellent. You build yourself into it over time. The world celebrates results, but it often ignores the routine. What they call talent is usually just commitment practiced long enough to look effortless. Excellence isn't flashy, it's usually invisible. It's hidden in the early mornings, the late nights, the moments when you choose to work while others are resting. The problem is too many people are waiting for inspiration to hit them like lightning. They think they'll be great when the moment arrives. But what they don't realize is the moment doesn't make you, it reveals you. And if you haven't built anything in the dark, there's nothing to show in the light. Excellence doesn't visit the unprepared. It's not about perfection. It's about progress, intentional, disciplined progress. Every day you have the opportunity to move closer to mastery or further into mediocrity. Every choice matters. Every habit compounds. The small things you do when nobody is watching determine the big results everyone will eventually see. Excellence is not a personality trait. It's a pattern. It's a lifestyle. It's built into the way you think, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself. It's not limited to athletes or artists or entrepreneurs. It's for anyone who decides to hold themselves to a higher standard every single day, no matter what. There's no elevator to excellence. There's no shortcut. There's no easy route. It's a climb. A slow, steady, sometimes painful climb. And most of the time, there's no applause, no recognition, just you in the mirror, just you and your habits, just you and the quiet battle between who you are and who you're becoming. People often want the fruit, but they don't want to plant the seed. They want the spotlight without the struggle. They want to shine without having to suffer. But the truth is, excellence is expensive. It costs time. It costs energy, it costs sacrifice, and only those willing to pay the price can afford to wear the crown. Every day you show up and give your best, even when it doesn't feel like it's working, you're building something that cannot be taken from you. Excellence becomes who you are, not just what you do. It becomes your baseline, your standard, your identity. The danger is that average is always available, it's always an option, and it's always easier. Excellence will never force itself on you. You have to choose it. You have to chase it. You have to be committed to the process even when the progress is invisible. Because the work you do in private always shows up in public. Most people want the outcome, but not the outlay. They want the gain without the grind. But true excellence is for those who are willing to do it daily, especially on the days they don't feel like it. Emotion cannot lead you. Discipline must. Otherwise, your potential becomes nothing more than a forgotten possibility. You don't train for the days you feel good. You train for the days you feel weak. You train for the pressure. You train for the uncertainty. Because excellence isn't just about execution. It's about endurance. It's about showing up over and over again until excellence becomes your default. People often look at the successful and say, they were born for this. But what they don't see is that behind every master is a history of mistakes, missteps, and massive commitment. They built themselves with 1,000 invisible decisions. Not one big breakthrough, but thousands of tiny ones that stacked up over time. The secret is in the system. Excellence is built by the systems you commit to, not the spurts of energy you occasionally apply. You don't need more hype, you need more habits. You need a routine that keeps you accountable even when your feelings fade and your will gets weak. Excellence is not a destination you reach, it's a posture you adopt. It's not somewhere you arrive, it's something you embody. You live it in the way you walk into a room, in the way you approach your work, in the way you treat people, in the way you respond to pressure. It becomes your character, not just your performance. What you do daily determines what you become permanently. You cannot escape the law of consistency. You either use it to build or you let it break you. If your daily actions are average, your long-term results will be as well. But if your daily actions reflect excellence, greatness becomes inevitable. People may not notice what you do every day, but time does. Time reveals the ones who prepared. Time exposes the ones who built. Time rewards the ones who showed up when others gave up. And time never lies. It always tells the truth about who did the work and who didn't. Excellence isn't loud. It's not showy. It doesn't have to prove itself. It speaks through the results, through the transformation, through the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you gave your best when nobody else would. That's the kind of excellence that can't be bought. It has to be earned, one day at a time. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to have the best connections. You don't even need to start with much. But if you choose to do the hard things daily, if you choose to be consistent, disciplined, and intentional, you can build a life that reflects excellence in everything you touch. Motivation feels good. It's that electric rush that surges through you when you hear a powerful message, see an inspiring story, or get excited about a new goal. It makes you believe anything is possible for a moment. But the truth is, motivation is fleeting. It's emotional fuel, and like all emotions, it comes and goes. If you rely on motivation alone, you'll be inconsistent, unreliable, and easily derailed the moment life gets difficult. Discipline, on the other hand, is solid. It's stable. It doesn't rise and fall with your emotions. It doesn't need permission to act. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It's not about hype, it's about habit. It's the internal agreement you make with yourself that no matter how you feel, you're going to follow through. People often wait for motivation to strike before they start working on their goals. They think they need to be inspired to take action, but motivation is a byproduct of action, not the cause of it. Discipline is what gets you moving. And once you start moving, that motion can create momentum, But if you sit still waiting to feel right, you'll stay stuck. Discipline is stronger than desire. There will be days when you don't feel inspired. There will be mornings when you wake up tired, distracted, overwhelmed. And in those moments, motivation won't show up to rescue you. That's when discipline steps in. Discipline says, we do this anyway. Discipline says, we honor the commitment, not the mood. The world teaches you to follow your feelings, to trust your heart, to go with your gut, but feelings are fickle. They change with the weather, with your energy, with your environment. Discipline is not moved by mood. It operates independently of emotion. It follows instruction, not inspiration. When you build your life around discipline, you become unshakable. You show up regardless of the storm. You keep working when others are wavering. You stay consistent when others are consumed by comfort. And over time, that consistency compounds. It builds character. It builds credibility. It builds result. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not sexy. It doesn't always feel good in the moment. But it produces something that motivation never can. Trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your word, trust in your process. When you know you'll follow through, even on your worst days, you become powerful beyond measure. The reason most people fail isn't because they lack goals, it's because they lack follow through. And follow through is a discipline issue. Anyone can write a vision board, anyone can make a plan, but only the disciplined will execute when it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, and unexciting. Discipline is a decision, not a feeling. It's a choice you make daily to move in the direction of your purpose, regardless of how heavy it feels. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't ask for approval. It just acts. And the more you practice it, the stronger it becomes. Discipline is like a muscle. It grows through resistance. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the flame that keeps burning. You don't need more sparks. You need to keep the fire going long after the spark dies out. That's how lasting success is built. Not in a flash of excitement, but in the slow burn of repeated effort. Motivation can get you started, but only discipline will keep you going. Discipline builds routines. Discipline builds systems. Discipline turns goals into results by breaking them down into daily actions repeated with excellence and intention over time. Motivation is external. It often comes from watching others, hearing a speech, reading a quote. Discipline is internal. It comes from your values, your standards, your decision to be better. When you live by discipline, you're not waiting to be pushed. You push yourself. Motivation will lie to you. It will tell you, today's not a good day, let's do it tomorrow. It will tell you, just one break won't hurt. But discipline tells the truth. Discipline says, every decision matters. Discipline says, what you do today shapes who you become tomorrow. If you only act when you're motivated, you'll be inconsistent. And inconsistency kills progress. You'll always be starting over. You'll never gain momentum. But when you build discipline, you start stacking wins. Small wins that turn into major victories. Quiet wins that build unshakable confidence. Discipline demands more from you. It doesn't accept excuses. It doesn't tolerate shortcuts. But in return, it gives you control. Control over your time, control over your mind, control over your outcomes. When you are disciplined, you stop being a slave to circumstance and start becoming the architect of your life. Discipline allows you to master the art of showing up, not just when it's fun, not just when it's easy, but every single day. Even when you're tired, even when you're stressed, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching, that's when discipline is doing its greatest work. The most successful people in the world aren't always the most talented. They're not always the smartest, but they are disciplined. They outwork, outlast, and outperform because they refuse to let feelings lead them. They let principles lead. They are consistent, focused, and relentless. Discipline isn't about punishing yourself. It's about positioning yourself to win, to grow, to rise. And while motivation may help you take the first step, it's discipline that will take you all the way to the finish line. Your value is not measured by the cheers of the crowd or the number of likes on a post. It is not defined by the applause you receive or the recognition others give you. Too often, people tie their worth to external validation, believing that if no one notices their efforts, then those efforts have no meaning. But this is a dangerous trap. True value is internal. It lives in who you are, not in what others say about you. When you rely on applause, you give away your power to the opinions of others. You become vulnerable to their approval and disapproval. One day they may celebrate you, the next day they may ignore you. Your self-worth should never be on such shaky ground. It must be anchored in your character, your integrity, and your commitment to your purpose. Many people quit when the crowd goes silent. They stop pushing when the spotlight dims. They believe if their work isn't recognized immediately, it's not worth doing. But the greatest achievements in history often began in quiet rooms, away from the fanfare. The applause comes later, if at all. What matters is that the work was done regardless. You have to learn to honor yourself even when no one else does. You have to find satisfaction in the effort, the process, the growth. When you value yourself based on your own standards and principles, you become unbreakable. You don't need constant validation because you already know your worth. Waiting for recognition is like waiting for the sun to shine on a cloudy day. It may not come when you want it. If you only work for applause, you will never find true fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from doing what you know is right, from pushing yourself to be better, from living up to your own potential. Your value is connected to your consistency, not your popularity. It's about showing up every day, doing the hard work, staying faithful to your vision, even when it seems invisible to the world. The seeds you plant in the shadows will one day grow into mighty trees, even if no one saw you water them. There's a difference between seeking to be seen and seeking to be significant. Applause satisfies the desire to be seen, but significance comes from the impact you create regardless of attention, the impact you have on the lives of others, the integrity you maintain, the character you build. These define your true value. When you let applause dictate your worth, you limit yourself. You start to perform for others instead of pursuing your purpose. You chase approval instead of excellence. And this cycle drains your energy, distorts your focus, and keeps you from the freedom that comes with self-acceptance. The loudest voices don't always speak the truth about you. Sometimes they are jealous. Sometimes they are uninformed. And sometimes they are distracted by their own agendas. Your value is not a reflection of their opinions. It's a reflection of your heart, your effort, and your perseverance. Those who last in any field are the ones who work in the silence, who keep grinding when no one is watching. They don't rely on the applause to keep going. Instead, they find strength within themselves. They develop resilience by valuing their own progress over external praise. You must become your own biggest supporter. Celebrate your wins no matter how small. Acknowledge your progress, even if the world ignores it. When you nurture your self-worth internally, you build a foundation that no external circumstance can shake. The danger of seeking applause is that it makes you dependent on others for happiness. Your emotions become reactive, tied to likes, comments, or recognition. But true happiness and value come from within, from knowing you are doing your best, living your truth, and honoring your purpose. Some of the greatest leaders, innovators, and creators faced years of rejection, criticism, and silence before the world recognized their worth. What kept them going was not applause. It was belief in themselves, belief in their mission, and a deep understanding that their value was not tied to fleeting recognition. You don't have to wait for others to tell you that you're valuable. You get to decide that for yourself. When you take ownership of your value, you stop giving away your power. You become free to pursue your dreams without fear of judgment or rejection. Your value grows every time you keep your word to yourself. Every time you push past doubt, every time you resist quitting, every time you show up even when it's hard, you add to your worth. These invisible victories accumulate into something powerful and undeniable. Letting applause define you also blinds you to the quiet but profound impact you may be having on others. Sometimes your work changes lives without ever being celebrated publicly. The ripple effects of your faithfulness can be vast, even if unseen. The most important opinion about your value is your own. It's the voice inside that says, I am enough, I am capable, I am worthy. When you listen to that voice and live from that place, you become unstoppable because your value is no longer up for debate. It's natural to wish for an easier life. When challenges come, when the weight feels heavy, the first instinct is often to ask for the road to be smoother, the burdens lighter. We want less pain, less struggle, less resistance. But what if the true prayer is not for life to be easier, but for you to be stronger? What if growth doesn't come from less hardship, but from more resilience? Life isn't designed to be a series of comfortable moments. It's a journey full of tests, trials, and obstacles that push you beyond your limits. If everything were easy, you wouldn't develop strength. You wouldn't build character. You wouldn't discover what you're truly capable of. Struggle is not the enemy. It's the crucible where greatness is forged. When you ask for an easier life, you're really asking to avoid the very experiences that build your capacity to handle adversity. But strength comes from facing those experiences head on. It's in the fight, the challenge, the discomfort that you grow. Strength doesn't come from avoiding storms. It comes from learning how to stand firm in them. There is a difference between weakness and vulnerability. Weakness gives up, runs away, or hides when times get tough. Vulnerability is the courage to show up, to keep going even when it hurts. Asking for strength means choosing vulnerability over avoidance, choosing to face life fully instead of shrinking from it. When you ask to be stronger, you are asking for endurance. You're asking to be able to carry your burdens without breaking. You're asking for a spirit that refuses to be defeated no matter how many times it's knocked down. Strength is about perseverance, grit, and tenacity that outlasts temporary pain. The world will challenge you. That's a guarantee. You cannot control what comes your way, but you can control how you respond. By seeking strength, you empower yourself to respond with courage and resilience. You transform from a passive receiver of life's difficulties into an active conqueror of your circumstances. Strength is also about growth, not just physical or emotional endurance, but spiritual maturity. When you grow stronger, your perspective changes. You see setbacks as lessons, failures as feedback, and pain as a stepping stone rather than a stopping point. Strength changes the way you interpret your story. It's easy to want life to be easier because easier means less effort, less discomfort. But effortless victories don't build lasting change. Easy doesn't build habits, discipline, or character. Strength is cultivated in the effort, the hard work, the discipline, the commitment to keep moving forward despite obstacles. When you ask to be stronger, you're also asking to become more self-reliant. You're saying, teach me to trust myself when the world is uncertain. Help me stand on my own feet when support is gone. Strength creates independence and confidence. It prepares you to handle whatever comes next. without being broken. You have to stop wishing for fewer problems and start wishing for greater capacity. Capacity to handle stress, pressure, disappointment, and pain. Capacity to bounce back after failure. Capacity to hold your head high when everything inside wants to collapse. That capacity is strength, and it grows with every challenge you face. The process of becoming stronger is not comfortable. It demands sacrifice, discipline, and sometimes loneliness. But it also brings freedom. The freedom of knowing you can survive, thrive, and rise again no matter what life throws your way. Strength makes you unshakable, rooted in your core. When you ask for strength instead of ease, you align yourself with the reality of life. You acknowledge that challenges will come, but you refuse to let them define you. You commit to becoming more than your circumstances. This mindset transforms struggle from a prison into a classroom. There is power in embracing difficulty. It stretches you beyond your current limits and forces you to grow muscles you didn't know you had. Strength is a byproduct of endurance. You don't get stronger by avoiding the fight. You get stronger by fighting through it. Every obstacle becomes an opportunity. Asking for strength also means asking for wisdom. Wisdom to know when to push and when to rest. Wisdom to choose your battles. Wisdom to maintain balance in the midst of chaos. Strength without wisdom can lead to burnout, but strength guided by wisdom leads to sustainable growth. You don't become strong overnight. Strength is built through daily decisions to stand firm, to act with courage, and to believe in yourself even when doubt whispers in your ear. It's a slow, steady process that requires patience and faith. But every step you take towards strength is a step away from fear. When you focus on being stronger rather than having an easier life, you gain control over your journey. You become the author of your story, not just a character reacting to circumstances. Strength empowers you to create, to lead, to inspire, and to overcome. Asking to be stronger is a declaration of faith. Faith in yourself, faith in your purpose, and faith in the process. It says you trust that you are capable of more than you think. You accept that growth is not always comfortable, but it is necessary. You choose to meet life's challenges not with complaint, but with courage. Faith is the foundation on which purpose is built. Without faith, you wander aimlessly, unsure of your direction, doubting your abilities, and questioning your worth. Faith is the unwavering belief that something greater is at work in your life, even when the path isn't clear. It's the trust that what you're pursuing has meaning beyond the immediate struggles and setbacks. Faith fuels your journey when circumstances try to extinguish your hope. Focus is the compass that keeps you aligned with your purpose. In a world filled with distractions, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Focus demands that you cut through the noise and zero in on the tasks, habits, and goals that move you forward. It requires discipline to say no to short-term pleasures and distractions in order to say yes to long-term fulfillment. Focus sharpens your vision and directs your energy where it counts most. Relentless action is the engine that drives your faith and focus into reality. Belief and clarity alone do not produce results. Without action, faith is just wishful thinking, and focus is wasted potential. Relentless action means showing up every day, doing the work, making progress, regardless of obstacles, setbacks, or doubts. It's a refusal to be paralyzed by fear or uncertainty. It's the commitment to keep moving forward, no matter how slow or hard the journey. The combination of faith, focus, and relentless action creates a powerful momentum. Faith keeps your spirit ignited when the road gets dark. Focus keeps your mind sharp when distractions threaten to pull you off course. Relentless action turns your dreams into habits and your habits into results. Together, they form a triad that unlocks your deepest purpose. Faith alone is not enough because it requires something to anchor it. Focus provides that anchor by giving you clarity and direction. Without focus, faith can become vague and unfocused, leading to scattered efforts and frustration. When faith is paired with focus, you begin to see the path clearly and understand the steps you need to take. Focus without action is wasted potential. You can plan and visualize all day, but if you don't act, nothing changes. Relentless action takes the mental and spiritual energy of faith and focus and transforms it into tangible progress. Action bridges the gap between dreams and reality. It's the visible evidence of your commitment. Relentless action is not about reckless rushing. It's about persistent, intentional effort. It means doing the work even when motivation fades. It means pushing through resistance and fatigue. It's the daily grind that most people avoid, but it's where purpose is realized. Without relentless action, faith and focus are mere concepts without impact. Faith nurtures resilience. When failures come, faith reminds you that these setbacks are temporary and that something greater is unfolding. It gives you the strength to stand back up after being knocked down. Faith turns obstacles into opportunities for growth, not reasons to quit. Focus trains your mind to prioritize what's important. It eliminates the distractions that steal your time and energy. It helps you manage your resources wisely so you can dedicate yourself to the goals aligned with your purpose. Focus creates the environment for success by filtering out the unnecessary. Relentless action cultivates discipline and momentum. Every small step taken consistently compounds into significant progress. It builds confidence as you prove to yourself that you can overcome challenges and deliver results. Action creates momentum that makes the next step easier and fuels the journey forward. Faith, focus, and relentless action also work together to clarify your purpose. Faith provides the why, the reason behind your efforts. Focus helps you identify the what, the specific goals and priorities. Action answers the how, the consistent steps you take to manifest your vision. The absence of any one of these elements weakens the process. Without faith, you lose motivation and hope. Without focus, you scatter your efforts and lose direction. Without action, your potential remains unrealized. Success and purpose require all three working in harmony. Faith challenges you to trust beyond what you can see. It pushes you to believe in possibilities even when evidence is scarce. This belief fuels your passion and ignites your desire to pursue purpose relentlessly. It is the unseen force that propels you when logic says, stop. Focus demands sacrifice. It asks you to give up distractions and comfort in exchange for growth and achievement. This sacrifice is necessary because purpose is not found in ease, but in intentional, concentrated effort. Focus aligns your daily habits with your ultimate goals. Relentless action is the practical expression of faith and focus. It's waking up every morning ready to do the work. It's making decisions that support your vision, even when it's difficult. It's pushing through fear, uncertainty, and exhaustion because the prize is greater than the pain. Together, faith, focus, and relentless action form the blueprint for unlocking purpose. They are not abstract ideas, but practical tools you can cultivate daily. They equip you to overcome adversity, stay committed, and transform your life. Purpose is not a destination, but a journey. Powered by these forces working together,